Hi, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to talk about different automation testing frameworks. So the frameworks that I'm going to talk about today are Selenium WebDriver. This has been there from at least 1 decade now, and it is quite famous and very stable. And then we have the alternatives for it like WebdriverIO, which is the W3C standard. And we have the modern testing frameworks such as Cypress and Playwright. So in this video, I'm going to give a detailed comparison of all the different automation testing frameworks. All right. So let us start with a comparison between Selenium WebDriver versus WebDriver IO first. So because both of them are based on the WebDriver protocol. So the aim of this video is for you to be able to understand what are the different types of automation frameworks that are available and what is it that you can pick for your project. So let us begin. So the Selenium is based on the WebDriver protocol and it has been there for over a decade and it is very nicely adapted and it is very stable. And one interesting point about Selenium is that it gives language flexibility for teams. That means that you can write Selenium test cases in multiple programming languages like either of Python or C# or Ruby, like that. But whereas WebDriver is only based on JavaScript. It is based on the JavaScript or TypeScript first approach, and the APIs in WebDriver IO are more friendly and they're more integrated with the modern JavaScript practices. And Selenium, we'll dig into some more details now. So it also gives WebDriver IO also gives us a plugin architecture where lifecycle hooks for deeper customization is possible. Let us see the commonalities first between both of them. Selenium WebDriver and WebDriver IO, both of them are one type of automation testing frameworks because both of them are open source and both of them are using the WebDriver protocol. So both of them are cross-browser compatible as well. So what are the differences? Let's go through them. So the installation of Selenium can be a little bit more involved, whereas WebDriver IO is seamless and easy to install. And Selenium particularly works for web application UI testing, whereas WebDriver IO also supports web and mobile application testing. And with respect to programming language, WebDriver IO supports only JavaScript or TypeScript, whereas Selenium supports multiple programming languages like Java, Python, C#, and Ruby. And the learning curve for Selenium, it is a little bit difficult to learn it because the learning curve is slightly steeper because it has been there for a long time and there are a lot of features there to learn. Whereas WebDriver IO is a very simple and intuitive API which is more developer friendly. And with respect to the test frameworks, Selenium is very versatile and integrates with different testing frameworks such as JUnit and like JUnit, TestNG, and Mocha and Jasmine. Whereas WebDriver IO can be integrated with the Mocha and Jasmine, which are the popular JavaScript test frameworks. And with respect to the execution, Selenium can execute tests in remote environment, whereas WebDriver IO can execute the test locally or remotely as well. With respect to the trends, Selenium is definitely more higher in demand in trends, but it is on the downtrend. The automation testing market, people are adapting different tools like WebDriver IO or Cypress or Playwright. And WebDriver IO is lesser in demand in comparison with Selenium, but it is picking up very fast. And with respect to parallel execution, it is possible to do parallel execution of tests with both Selenium and WebDriver. But for Selenium, you'll require Selenium Grid additionally to be integrated to be able to run it. But WebDriver IO, it is built-in support of parallel execution. And with respect to the test runners and reporting, Selenium requires separate setup for test runners, reporting, and integration with the tools like Selenium Grid, whereas WebDriver IO, it is like an all-in-one solution with a built-in test runner, and also it has got a lot of plugins that can be used. So coming to the plugins, Selenium is extensible, but integration requires a little bit of additional effort, whereas WebDriver IO is designed with extensibility in mind, and the plugin system is Pretty cool, and it's much easier to extend it. And the requirements like reporting tools, visual regression testing, and other modern requirements are well supported by Selenium, by the WebDriver. And performance and scalability wise, Selenium is definitely battle tested. It has been there for a long time, and uh, it is already working on a large scale distributed enterprise environments. And WebDriver is also pretty scalable and pretty stable as well. But in comparison, in general, Selenium has been battle tested more. So when to use what? So you use Selenium if your project's programming language is not JavaScript. If it is Java, C Sharp, or Ruby or Python, then you can definitely, it is going to be Selenium is the pick for you. And if you want more of enterprise scale testing, like distributed testing with Selenium Grid, right? You want a long-term, long scale, large scale, stable environment integrating with other cloud-based testing tools. Selenium is a safer bet. Whereas WebdriverIO is better for modern web and mobile applications, which predominantly use JavaScript or TypeScript, and which if you require seamless integration with CI and CD. So that was about Selenium WebDriver versus WebdriverIO. I hope by now you have got some idea about which one to pick up from both of them. Now let us go to the next section. In this section, this is based on a video which compares the Selenium and Playwright. So let me compare the Playwright versus Selenium WebDriver. So like I said, we have multiple options in the market. Like we have Selenium WebDriver, WebdriverIO, Cypress, and Playwright. And right now we're comparing Playwright versus Selenium WebDriver. So let us see that. So Playwright is a very modern tool and it is picking up speed very fast, and it is a favorite for a lot of testers now. It is a modern automation testing tool developed by Microsoft, and it competes with the other tools. Some of the key features of Playwright, which are like unique selling points for them, is that the speed and performance of Playwright tests is super fast. And then it natively gives you parallel execution in comparison with Selenium, which requires Selenium Grid to be integrated separately. So automatic waiting mechanism, Playwright has got a built-in waiting mechanism, whereas Selenium, you have to write separate code for waiting for the response to come back. And it is also configurable waiting times is possible in Playwright, which makes it much faster and easier to write the code. Let us see the testing capabilities. Playwright has got its own integrated test runner, and there's no need of any third-party tools for running. It has got its own built-in hooks and features, and it has got its own reporting. Comprehensive test reports can be created using this Playwright, and all the reporting can be customized. And then the configuration management, also it supports simplified CI/CD integration and a centralized configuration file where you can change all the configurations in a single file. So it is also possible to do command line overrides with the help of Playwright. So these are all the cool features of Playwright over Selenium. And some of the additional features are like, there is support for various different types of testing, like end-to-end testing capabilities, accessibility testing, API testing support is possible in Playwright, whereas this kind of testing is not possible in Selenium. So some of the additional features of Playwright is that it supports accessibility testing and API testing, which makes it very unique. We got a UI-based text execution for Playwright. And there are code generation tools where you can actually scaffold the tests. And we have enhanced debugging features where debugging makes it very easy. And the updates in Playwright are frequent, and it is community driven, and it has got a competitive edge over Selenium. Actually, if you go to GitHub and actually see the number of stars, it has got over 74,000 stars, which indicates that the community is highly supportive about this tool, and it is like a fresh approach. So overall, this comparison of Playwright and Selenium says that Playwright is a superior tool in comparison with Selenium. Now let us go to the next kind of comparison where we are making comparison of the how fast are these automation test cases. So this is based on another video which I've made this. So based on this video, the testing benchmarks, it just shows this. There's a comparison that's been done between Playwright, Cypress, and WebdriverIO. So the idea of this comparison is to be able to pick up the framework based on speed. So speed is definitely very crucial, but at the same time, quality and maintainability are important. And the reason speed is important is because when you're running hundreds and thousands of end-to-end test cases, it can take really long for the feedback to come. And this feedback loop or the time taken for running all these test cases can be reduced drastically. And some of the framework specific details here, it says that Cypress framework, see, it took 74 seconds for 100 tests, whereas Playwright took 23 seconds only for 100 tests, whereas WebdriverIO took 26 seconds for 100 tests. So the overall comparison says like this, that the fastest among these three, Cypress, Playwright, and WebdriverIO, is Playwright is the fastest. And then comes the WebdriverIO, and then comes the Cypress. So these are the comparisons that you can see here. So if you're looking for speed, go for Playwright or WebdriverIO. Cypress, if you want for some developer friendly options, then you can go for Cypress. Now let us go to the next video. So this is a review of another video here which says WebDriver versus Selenium versus Cypress and which one you should be using. So WebDriver is actually a protocol, which is a W3C based protocol, and Selenium in its version 4 is using this WebDriver protocol, which is natively supported by all the browsers, and it is implemented by all the browsers. Okay, it allows remote commands to control the browsers. So now Selenium WebDriver versus WebdriverIO. WebdriverIO natively supports WebDriver versus Selenium WebDriver is an implementation of the WebDriver protocol. So Selenium framework, I have already discussed in the previous couple of minutes that Selenium is an open source automation tool and it has got various options and features. It is cross-platform. It has got something called Selenium Grid, which allows you to run remote tests across multiple browsers and multiple OSs, that is in multiple platforms, right? And with respect to Cypress, it offers a superior developer experience. It has got its own test runner, but for reporting, you need to be paying extra money for that, okay? But it provides better test reliability and speed. It is considered to be an all-in-one testing framework. So Cypress does not use the WebDriver standard. So it uses its own standard for connecting to the browser. So that's how it gives us different type of features. So and then it includes assertions and network stubbing out of the box, and it is written purely in JavaScript. So if you're looking for a JavaScript based tool, you should go for Cypress. Whereas if it is different programming languages, you can go for WebDriver or Selenium WebDriver. So overall, the comparison is Cypress offers better reliability comparison to WebDriver, and Cypress operates within the browser context for faster execution, but whereas WebDriver relies on remote commands over the network. With respect to the learning curve, Cypress provides a more user-friendly interface in comparison with WebDriver. And WebDriver is suitable for cross-browser testing, whereas Cypress is mainly for end-to-end testing for JavaScript-based applications. So this is how you choose between Cypress and Selenium WebDriver or WebdriverIO. Now let us go to the next one, WebdriverIO. So this is WebdriverIO, introduction to the WebdriverIO. So like I already said, WebdriverIO is an automation framework and it supports web and mobile application testing. This is something which I thought was very interesting because Selenium does not support mobile testing out of the box. It is free and open source. And it supports modern web applications and frameworks, can test hybrid and native mobile applications, So that's very interesting. It can test even native mobile applications also. That's pretty interesting. But some of the hardware requirements, you require at least 4 GB RAM machine to run it, at least Node.js version 12, 16, 12.16 or higher is required. So an IDE VS Code is recommended. So there are some of the setup instructions, how to set up WebdriverIO is there here, and how to create tests is given here, and the conclusion is given. So overall, the conclusion is that we have got multiple options now in the market, like Selenium WebDriver, WebdriverIO, Cypress versus Playwright. So it depends upon your project, which tool is suitable for you. So if you want, definitely it has to be a free tool. Then you cannot go for Cypress because some of the pay features of Cypress are paid. All right. And if you want a free tool, so it's going to be Playwright, WebDriver, or Selenium WebDriver. And if you're looking for speed, Playwright is the winner or WebdriverIO is the winner. If you're looking for some modern and very cool JavaScript features, like very good, interesting test runners, Playwright is the winner among all of this. So if you would ask me to pick up one framework for the next project, I would pick up Playwright and I would write the test cases in JavaScript instead of TypeScript, or can use TypeScript as well. Does not matter much, but if you want to quickly write some code without having to worry too much about types, JavaScript is good, right? But if you ask me which one is good for getting a job from the perspective of job, which one should I be learning? Then I would probably recommend you should go for Selenium WebDriver or WebdriverIO because they are close to each other. One of them will be useful. Selenium WebDriver will be a better choice because of its wide industry application in the enterprise area. So this is my overall comparison video for all the automation testing frameworks. If you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe our channel. Thank you.